Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the XTERRA World Cup mid-season recap. We're here to bring you all the thrilling highlights, the jaw-dropping moments and the epic battles from the first half of this year's XTERRA World Cup. Strap yourselves in and get ready for a wild ride. XTERRA is a global lifestyle brand with 13 different off-road event categories spread across 47 countries around the world. XTERRA is driven to expand and serve its ever-growing community of adventurous athletes, and for 2023 launched the first season of the XTERRA World Cup. A 7-stop race series built to showcase XTERRA's strongest and fastest off-road triathletes, as the biggest names in sport go head-to-head for their share of $340,000 of prize money. Round 1 took us to the mesmerising landscapes of Taiwan, where athletes from around the world gathered to compete in the ultimate test of endurance. The XTERRA Taiwan course pushed the limits, demanding everything from the athletes, and did they deliver? Beginning with a 1500 metre swim in the warm waters of the Little Bay Beach, moving into the rocky trails of the Kenting National Park, where the athletes would take on a 29-kilometre bike ride of rough technical trails with 730 metres of climbing before a brutal 9-kilometre run on the steepest slopes that the organisers could find. The race courses would be hard enough, but combined with high temperatures and humidity, this was all shaping up for an extremely tough start to the World Cup season. The reigning XTERRA World Champion, Solène Boulan, was eager to prove her world title was no fluke against a stacked elite field here in Taiwan.
I think that's what brings the World Cup to. It's like bringing a lot of women on the start line, and I'm super happy to fight against these girls.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In the women's race, local elite Chen Changwen was first out of the calm waters of the South China Sea, followed by a big chase pack featuring France's Elise Patiez, Italy's Sandra Mayhofer, France's Solène Boulan, America's Susie Snyder, Australia's Maeve Kennedy and Switzerland's Luan Duvisson. However, in the first kilometre of the bike, Patiez and Boulan would pull away from the rest of the field and make it a 2-horse race for the rest of the day. For Patiez, the strategy was for her to stay hydrated. Even though this race started early at 6 AM, it was hot and humid, and the Taiwanese jungle offering little in the way of shelter for the athletes. Boulan was the first into the bike-to-run transition with about a 15-second lead over Patiez, and the two would run out onto the 9-kilometre trail run together. Around about 4k into the run, just as they reached the top of the climb, Patiez would make her big move and never look back, taking the tape in a little over 3 hours, 6 minutes and 30 seconds, more than 2 minutes ahead of Solène Boulan. For Boulan, the runner-up performance was a welcome result for the season opener. Luan Duvisson was strong all day, entering transition 2 just 1 minute behind the front pair. She would have post the second best run split and finished just 22 seconds behind Boulan in third place. Sandra Mayhofer would finish 4th and Maeve Kennedy would finish 5th, earning the title of the XTERRA Asia Pacific champion by virtue of being the top finisher from the APAC region. For the men, all eyes were on France's Arthur Serrière, the number 1 ranked XTERRA athlete in the world. Hoping to take down the Frenchman was Denmark's Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen, who arrived to Taiwan almost 2 weeks in advance to prepare.
I felt it was an advantage. I wanted to see Taiwan before and just to embrace it a bit, but actually I've just been trying to dial in the course because I think it's quite demanding, and yeah, this is the first World Cup ever in XTERRA, and I think it couldn't be a better place to start it off. This is the most demanding course I've tried in XTERRA, and probably also both technical but also physical. It's going to be so hard, so I think Taiwan really delivers a top course for us to premiere on the World Cup.
In the men's race, Italy's Michele "the Shark" Bonacino was first out the water in 19 minutes and 55 seconds, with France's Felix Frisier, Czech's Lucas Kochar, France's Arthur Serrières, Maxime Chanet and Arthur Frisier right behind him. Bonacino and Frisier were first onto the bike course, but in no time at all the lead pack was 6 deep, with Frisier, Kochar, Chanet and Arthur Serrières all joining the fray. The race dynamic changed on its head when Spain's Ruben the Boss Ruzafa bridged the gap at around about the 10-kilometre mark, passing everybody in this front group and putting the hammer down. He wasn't able to completely pull away, with Felix Frisier and Max Chanet looking to ride strong and looking to take over. In an unbelievable dose of bad luck, both Max Chanet and Felix Frisier would puncture, leaving both athletes forced to push their bike back to the second transition. Ruzafa would reach the bike to run transition first, and he would have 25 seconds on Arthur Frisier, with Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen just 2 minutes back, and XTERRA World Champion Serrières 3 minutes back in 4th position. Arthur Frisier would post the fastest run split of the day, and in catching Ruzafa just before the top of the climb, never looking back. He would take the tape in 2 hours 36 minutes and 39 seconds, 1 minute ahead of Ruben Ruzafa in second place. Sloth-Nielsen would finish in 3rd place, Kieran McPherson having an absolute stormer of a run to move into 4th. McPherson would be rewarded by becoming the XTERRA Asia Pacific champion by virtue of being the first finisher from the APAC region. Belgium's Sebastian Caraban, who had the best bike split of the day, finished in 5th, with Bonacino in 6th, and Serrières, the reigning XTERRA World Champion and big pre-race favourite, struggling hard in 7th. It was truly a day of upsets and surprises, but nobody could have asked for a better start to the XTERRA World Cup. After round 1 in Taiwan, here's how the leaderboard looked. For the men, Arthur Frisier would sit pretty at the top of the leaderboard, with fellow French athlete Elise Patiez taking the early lead in the women's field. From the enchanting landscapes of Taiwan, we travelled halfway across the globe to the rugged terrains of Oak Mountain in the United States. Round 2 of the XTERRA World Cup would take place at a long-standing, iconic venue, with Oak Mountain providing the perfect battleground for the next chapter of this adrenaline-fueled saga. Oak Mountain has a certain reputation, with athletes battling through a diverse range of obstacles. The bike course here is world class, testing the very best athletes on the planet, with tight and twisting hairpin turns, rocky descents, heart-pumping jumps in their path. Round 2 was the first double header of the XTERRA World Cup series, with athletes not only taking on the 1500 metre swim, 33km mountain bike, 10km run, but also taking part in the XTERRA short track event, an elite-only super sprint cross triathlon designed to push the best athletes to the very limit the day after the full distance. For some, this would be a chance at redemption. For others, it would be a struggle just to finish the weekend. In the men's elite race, Americans Eric Lagerstrom would blitz the swim in 19 minutes and 43 seconds, pulling out nearly 30 seconds of a lead ahead of the Shark Michele Bonacino and the speedy Kiwi Sam Osborne. Canada's Edmund Roy and USA's Keller Norden were 1 minute behind the lead, followed by fellow American Elliot Back and the reigning world champion Arthur Serrières. Could this be a repeat of the disaster in Taiwan? Other contenders were further off the pace, with American Sullivan Midar 2 minutes back, Denmark's Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen 2 minutes 30 behind, Josiah Midar was 3:40 back, and Belgium's Sebastian Caraban in 5 minutes 30 seconds. Once onto the bike, Lagerstrom was rolling, not only keeping the gap, but in fact pulling away from the rest of these seasoned competitors.
With this being the first year of the whole XTERRA World Cup, this is a little bit of a trial race for me. I've been here before, I didn't finish, so I feel like I have a little bit of unfinished business just to get around the course successfully. But also, I think if it goes really well and I get on the podium, then I'll take a look at getting more involved in the series.
At the bottom of Jekyll and Hyde, around 25 kilometres in the bike course, Lagerstrom still had a minute on a chase pack that now featured Arthur Serrières, Canada's Edmund Roy, Sam Osborne and Michele Bonacino. But it wasn't until 3k before the bike to run transition that Osborne and Serrières would finally catch up to Lagerstrom, and the trio went wheel to wheel, fighting each other, speeding through the forested single tracks like a centipede on the prowl before reaching T2 together.
Taiwan, I didn't have the best performance I can have. XTERRA organized a World Cup, so it's my role to play the game and go to Taiwan. But right now on Oak Mountain, I really want to be and try to be on the top to move on the right way for the point, for the series, and for everything. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here and ready to go.
1 kilometre into the run, they were still in a bunch and the foot race was well and truly on. However, 3k in, Serrières made his trademark move. Lagerstrom was able to go with him, but Osborne had to fall back. Serrières once again did what he does best by posting the fastest run of the day, to take the tape in 2 hours, 25 minutes and 30 seconds, with Lagerstrom in a strong second place, just 38 seconds back. With this win, his first since capturing the XTERRA World Championship in Italy last year, Serrières would move into second spot in the XTERRA World Cup standings following his second place finish in Taiwan. For Lagerstrom, this performance paints a pretty good picture of just what he can do against XTERRA's best, and has him looking forward to more XTERRA racing in the future. Jens Milslof Nielsen would work his way through the field, finishing just 16 seconds behind Lagerstrom in third. And with those third place points, he would take the lead in the XTERRA World Cup standings. Around 15 seconds later, in fourth place was Josiah Midar, having posted the second best bike time and the second fastest run split, would see him move up through the field to finish in fourth. Osborne was solid all day, would do just enough to hold on to the top 5. In the women's elite race, New Zealand's Samantha Kingsford led out the water in 23 minutes and 7 seconds, with America's Susie Snyder 6 seconds back, and then the French pairing of Solène Bouillon, Alizé Patiez, America's Jessie Colts, Italy's Marta Mendito, and New Zealand's Lizzie Orchard. The race would soon turn into another French bike battle up front, just like we saw in Taiwan. However, the reigning XTERRA World Champion would suffer a disastrous mechanical in the rock garden, which would take her out of contention for the rest of the weekend.
If I will win the second World Cup, I think I will be more relaxed for the second part of the season. And yeah, for sure, for the points it will be amazing. So.
At the finish line, Patiez, who spent her younger years dancing in the cabaret, would perform a traditional French can-can to celebrate crossing the line with a winning time of 2 hours, 47 minutes and 18 seconds. Behind Patiez, Snyder and Kingsford were pushing each other on the bike, taking turns and staying on the gas the whole ride. But it was Mendito who had run her way from 5th off the bike into 2nd position at the finish line with the fastest run split of the day. 44 minutes and 8 seconds was faster than anybody else in the race and would move her up into 2nd place in the World Cup standings. Samantha Kingsford would finish strong in 3rd place. Lizzie Orchard turned in a traditionally strong run to finish 4th, with Susie Snyder battling through some breathing issues but successfully rounding out the top 5. With XTERRA Oak Mountain in the books, the pros would shift their focus to the short track event due to take place the following day. This action-packed event was the first of 5 XTERRA short track races in the World Cup and the first ever to be held in the United States. Short track combines a 2-lap 400-metre swim, a 3-lap 7.5km mountain bike and a 2-lap 3km trail run, with chaos from start to finish. In the women's race, Jessie Colts would make quick work of the swim and was in the bike to run transition with the lead. But Alizé Patiez was first out at T1 and kept that lead all the way through to T2. Until Luan Duvesson of Switzerland would make her move. Duvesson, disappointed after yesterday's race, was only 15 seconds behind Patiez, but then would post the best bike split to pull within striking distance on the run, and doubled down with the fastest 3km run leg of the day to take the tape with 14 seconds margin of victory ahead of Alizé Patiez in 38 minutes and 30 seconds. The reigning XTERRA Short Track Series champion, this is Duvesson's 4th career XTERRA Short Track victory. Patiez was equally happy with 2nd and to keep the overall lead in the XTERRA World Cup standings after 3 of these 12-point scoring races. Samantha Kingsford would finish strong in third place. In the men's race, Michele Bonacina, Eric Larostrom and Keller Norland would post a sub 5 minute 400 metre swim, and the high speed chase was on for the rest of the field. The bike was quite the spectacle, with more than a dozen men in close contact early on, but by the last lap, however, it was Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen posting the fastest bike split to lead into T2. Serrières and Bonacina were next in, wheel to wheel, as they rolled into the bike to run transition together. Serrières had an extremely fast transition and would just edge Sloth Nielsen to the start of the run, and that was it. The Frenchman would capture the XTERRA Oak Mountain short track title in just 33 minutes and 28 seconds. Serrières would make light work of the rest of the field, really putting on a show for the global audience watching the live stream, with a spectacular run that was really fun to watch. His stride sets him apart, and his 9 minute 29 second off-road 3 km split fully made the difference in this race. Sloth Nielsen would finish 17 seconds back in second place, solidifying his top spot in the XTERRA World Cup rankings after the first 2 rounds. Bonacci would pick up his first short track podium with a brilliant all-around effort. As one of the 12 point scoring races in the inaugural XTERRA World Cup, it was a great opportunity for elites looking to lock in a good result early in the season. To determine the XTERRA World Cup Series champions, elites would add their best 4 scores from the first 6 full distance races, with their best 3 of 5 XTERRA short track scores, and whatever they get or they don't get at the XTERRA World Championships. Sounds confusing? It's exciting. After the short track races in round 2, Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen leads the XTERRA World Cup with 190 points. Arthur Serrières sits second at 184. Sebastian Caraban moves up to third position with 146 points. Elise Patiez continues to lead with 228 points. Marta Mendito makes the jump to second with 169 points, whilst Luan Dubuisson sits in third with 168 points. The XTERRA World Cup journey continued in round 3, where we found ourselves in the enchanting landscapes of Belgium and the Citadel of Namur for the first European round of the year. This historic location became the arena for the next chapter of this enthralling competition, promising yet another showcase of incredible athleticism and sheer determination. In a similar format to Oak Mountain, athletes would be facing a double header of a weekend, with the full distance acting as the European Championships on Saturday, followed by a brutal short track on Sunday. In the men's race, XTERRA newcomer Anthony Poujart was first out of the water in 1806, the Frenchman being a full 20 seconds ahead of Germany's Jens Roth and 50 seconds in front of regular front pack swimmer Michele Bonacina. The Italian would lead a pack of the main favourites, including Arthur Serrières from France, Lucas Kochar from Czech and Maxime Chanet from France. Things would change quickly on the bike, with the first glimpse of video showing Arthur Frisier, who won the XTERRA Asia Pacific Championships in Taiwan, on the bike with younger brother Felix Frisier in tow and Kochar in the mix. In a field full of magnificent mountain bikers, Felix Frisier threw down the fastest split of the day, posting a 1:30.19 seconds that was better than Ruzafa, his brother Arthur Frisier, Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen, home country favourite Sebastian Caraban, and even Olympic gold medalist mountain biker Jaroslav Kulave from Czech. If he went too hard, his run didn't show it. Felix Frisier would post the fastest 10k split of 39 minutes and 32 seconds to widen the gap even further, crossing the line in first place. His 2 hours and 31 minute 21 second finish time was fast enough that he had to wait more than 3 minutes to give his brother Arthur a big hug for finishing second. Coming in third place was Ruben Ruzafa, who had the second best bike split, third best run split to post a solid overall result to finish third, just 25 seconds behind Arthur Frisier. Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen would finish in fourth place, with Max Chanet around 30 seconds back in fifth. In the women's race, Daisy Davis would lead a trio of British speedsters out of the water in 19 minutes and 17 seconds. Just like the men's race, the race was quick to change shape once the mountain bike portion was underway, and the cream of the crop of the XTERRA World Cup rose to the top. Mayhofer, arguably one of the best bikers in XTERRA, took to the front and stayed there for much of the race, despite suffering a flat tyre on the first downhill. Patier and Duvesson were riding well, and although Patier was first to arrive into the bike-to-run transition, Duvesson was just a few seconds behind and would take the early lead into the run. She had clocked the best bike split of the day in 1 hour 44.49 seconds to erase her deficit out of the water, and then followed it up, posting the best run split of the day in 46.05 to take the tape in a total of 2 hours 57 minutes and 11 seconds. Mayhofer would pass Patiers on the run to finish second around 1 minute behind Duvesson, with the French woman finishing third around 1:30 back. Solène Boulon would finish a strong position in fourth, with Marta Mendita rounding out the top 5. With the European Championship titles decided, the athletes would go again on Sunday for another roll of the dice in the short track. With more World Cup points on offer, this was a crucial opportunity for anybody looking to solidify their lead in the series. In the women's race, Emma Ducroix of France and Maisie Aubrey were first out of the water neck and neck in nearly 6 minutes flat, with Solène Boulogne, Elise Patier, Susie Snyder, Luan Duvesson and Sandra Mayhofer all closely grouped together around 20 seconds back. On the long climb up to the Citadel, it didn't take long for Mayhofer to climb past the pack and move away to the front. She would post the fastest bike split in 26 minutes and 44 and would take a big lead onto the run, where she was never challenged for the win. Patiers and Boulogne would come into T2 together. Patiers had the better run to finish second, with Boulogne rounding out the podium in third. Duvesson, yesterday's full distance winner, would finish in fourth, with Beatriz Pereira from Portugal coming in fifth place, remarkably having to push her bike for 8 kilometres due to a mechanical on the full distance race on Saturday. In the men's race, Anthony Pujars was first out of the water again in 5 minutes and 9 seconds. Arthur Frisier was 34 seconds back out of the water, but would make his way to the front of the bike. Pujars, Bonacina and Kochar all together at the top of the climb. By the end of the first lap, Kochar and Frisier had pulled away, but Maxime Chanet and XTERRA World Cup leader Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen would move into third and fourth. Frisier was first onto the run, followed by Kochar and Chanet, but Sloth-Nielsen, who had come out of the water almost a full minute behind, would run past these two and get within striking distance of Frisier on the run. Frisier was just too strong and would come across the line as king of the castle at the first ever XTERRA Belgium short track competition. Sloth-Nielsen would back up his fastest bike split with the fastest run split of the day to finish a narrow second place. Chanet, the 2022 XTERRA Short Track Series champion, would hold off Kochar to finish in third place. With their strong runner-up performances in the XTERRA Short Track race today, Elise Patiers and Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen would defend their spots at the top of the XTERRA World Cup leaderboard. Elise Patiers sits at the top of the rankings with 336 points. Luan Duvesson sits in second with 293 points, with a slim lead over Marta Mendito with 258 points in third. Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen sits at the top of the leaderboard, the Dane currently with a score of 291 points. Arthur Serrières from France has 238 points. Arthur Frisier of France sits in third place despite missing 2 races in Oak Mountain with 229 points.
Yeah.
With the first half of the XTERRA World Cup filled with electrifying action, let's preview the upcoming races. First, we're heading to the Czech Republic, where athletes will conquer rugged terrains and picturesque landscapes in a battle for glory, over both the full distance and the short distance. Just 6 days later, it's off to Germany, where they'll face challenging courses and more fierce competition. Next, the American Championships at Beaver Creek, an event that promises an adrenaline-pumped excitement in the heart of the Rocky Mountains. And last but not least, the grand final, the XTERRA World Championships in Malvino, Italy, where the world's best XTERRA athletes will gather to leave their mark on history. The XTERRA World Cup continues to push the boundaries of human endurance and redefine what's possible. Stay tuned for the second half of this incredible adventure as these extraordinary athletes continue their quest for XTERRA glory.